Hey everybody, welcome to World Mythology. My name is Lauren Teague. I will be your instructor this spring 2021 semester. I wanted to make a quick video and post it so that I could introduce myself, say hello, make sure that you know that I am not just some weird avatar in cyberspace. I am a real person sitting behind the screen who will be engaging with you, reading your work, and communing with you this semester, although it is virtual, as we continue to live in this very strange coronavirus world. I also wanted to take a couple of minutes, more importantly, to review a couple of course goals with you all, and also to kind of talk through the syllabus in a little bit more detail, so that you have a clearer sense of how the course is going to be paced and how it will be conducted. As you all, I'm sure you all know that this is an asynchronous course, which means that we will not be meeting live virtually every week. However, there will be a couple of opportunities throughout the semester that I'll announce where we will have some moments of coming together live that I'm trying to kind of orchestrate now, just to sort of enhance our sense of connection and community, especially during these times when we're all so isolated from one another. But more on that later. The goal of the syllabus and the goal of this video is really to give you a sense of how this asynchronous course will be paced, and what the expectations of you will be on a weekly basis. Okay, so first of all, the idea of myth has been captivating for centuries. The word myth comes from the Greek word muthos, which means story. And in this class, we will really sort of work to at first define what a myth is, to sort of identify and underscore some of its function in our society today, how it resonates across cultures, across languages, across technologies, and why we continue as humans to be essentially storytellers. How do we use narratives in order to organize our lives, in order to provide answers to questions that are otherwise inexplicable to us, to provide us with comfort, to provide our lives with some moral structure, to provide a sort of moral compass, to learn lessons that bind us together as communities and enable us to live with each other and evolve with each other successfully. So we're going to sort of take apart this term to start the semester and return to it quite a bit, to continuously check and consider, how do we define myths, what is their purpose, and what is also their continued use value in our contemporary society. Okay, so if you go to your syllabus, you can find your syllabus posted under the syllabus tab. It's also posted under modules for you. I have it here with me, and I'm going to run through a couple. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because you can and should read it carefully, but I am going to go through a couple of points, the more important ones, so that you are clear again on what's expected of you. So to start, you have some of my contact information, my email address. You can also contact me through the messaging tool on Canvas. I will hold a live office hour every week through Zoom. So I've given you the link. They'll take place on Wednesday mornings from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is a time where you don't need to make an appointment. You can just log on, click on the link, and I will be able to chat with you, answer questions, go over your work, review your essays, etc. If that time doesn't work for you, given your schedules, that's okay too. You can always contact me. Through email with a question. You can also always request a live meeting with me through Zoom at another time that works for you. Okay, so keep that in mind. This course, importantly, does meet one of your SAS core curriculum requirements. This is the one that states in this course, students will be asked to analyze arts and literatures in themselves and in relation to specific histories, values, languages, cultures, technologies. So check, this does satisfy that particular requirement of you. Okay, so some of the specific requirements of this class in terms of assignments, I want to sort of review that for you. Most importantly, regular class discussion and participation is incredibly important for this class. It will constitute 25% of your overall course grade. What this means, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about this in a minute, is that essentially every week we will be having two discussions, okay, based on a set of texts that we're going to be reading. If you look on your syllabus, every week is broken up into two sets of texts. So the first set of texts we will discuss during the first half of the week, which will run from Monday morning until Wednesday evening. The second set of texts that you'll see for that week, we will begin discussing Thursday morning through Sunday evening. Okay, you're expected to participate and engage in those weekly discussions, both of them, throughout the course of the semester. And I'll go into detail about how you will be participating in that and what those requirements will be in a minute. So one of the requirements for this class is regular participation, as we are not meeting, in a live class where I would take your attendance. This sort of also satisfies kind of like your roll call in being an active participant in our community, okay? You will have a creative assignment. To start the semester, we'll be reading a bunch of creation and destruction myths from a variety of different cultures. And we'll also be reading from a bunch of different genres, across genres. We'll be reading narratives, we'll be reading religious doctrines, we will be reading poetry, plays, and there'll be also a slew of multimedia links that I've provided for you to help enhance your learning and your experience of these texts. So you will have a creative assignment after we read a bunch of different creation and destruction myths, again from a few different cultures. You will be writing your own creation and destruction myths, which is really fun. It's really cool to read these. And you can find specific instructions for this assignment under the assignments tab. It's already that particular assignment's already been posted if you're even more curious and want to know a little bit more about it. But we'll be talking about it. I'll be making an announcement about it closer to its due date. That is worth 10% of your grade. You will have a final presentation, okay, during the second to last week of the semester. You will all be doing a bit of research into your own cultural backgrounds, and you will choose a myth from your own cultures that you want to share with the class. So you'll be providing the class with a particular myth, and you'll also be doing an accompanying brief presentation about the myth, about the history of the myth, about the ways in which that myth is critical to your particular culture. It can be a sort of folklore that you've heard. It can be a sort of family tale that you heard or read when you were a child. Again, more details on that particular assignment forthcoming. That will be worth 15% of your overall course grade. And then we, of course, have two essays in the class. We'll have a midterm essay, which will be 3 to 5 pages. I will provide you with a couple of different prompts for both the midterm and the final essay. And you will essentially be comparing and analyzing 2 and no more than 3 different myths that we will be reading over the course of the semester. You will not be summarizing these texts. You will be providing a clear, specific thesis statement and argument in response to these texts, and working to consider the ways in which they both connect with each other, and also sometimes, very importantly and productively, diverge from one another as well. Okay, your final essay will be 5 to 7 pages, so that's a little bit longer, but that is sort of the essay that does ultimately fulfill that SAS core curriculum requirement. Okay, again, I will be providing you with specific prompts and helping you put some of these texts into more critical conversations with one another. Okay, so those are your course requirements. You have 2 essays, you have weekly participation, you have a creative assignment, and you have a final presentation. Okay, so those are your specific requirements for this class. I've given you a list of the texts that you'll need with links. I don't care how you, I mean, there are certain instances in which the specific volume or edition is important, and I've been clear about that. However, if you want to rent these books, if you can access them online in some capacity, buy them used, I don't care how you procure them. That is entirely up to you. Be as cost efficient as you possibly can. Of course, I've also provided you with scanned copies for the first week so that you don't have to worry about doing the reading for this week and also getting the books. You will be covered. And there will be other times where I provide you with, again, links or multimedia tools or other scanned copies when the works that we're reading fall outside of these texts. But there is a list of the required texts there. Under modules, you will see basically all of our weeks organized, okay? And the readings and multimedia links that you need will be provided for you in a sort of logical, organized fashion. Often in those modules, you will find some kind of lecture. Sometimes it'll be a written lecture. Sometimes it will be a supplemental video lecture that I provide. Other times it will be a sort of link that provides useful historical or cultural context for a text that we're reading. People learn in different ways. Some people are visual learners. Some people learn better reading. Some people need a kind of Cliff's Notes version, which is some of these multimedia links are kind of like cartoon versions of some of the myths we're reading. And so there are a bunch of different avenues to help support your learning and your preference for learning this semester. So you should always look for some type of a lecture. Sometimes we'll be reading the introductory notes in one of our anthologies, which will kind of serve as some context. But there will always be some element of social, historical, cultural context for whatever text we're reading. And now a little bit more on our class discussion. So again, as I said, you'll have 2 sets of readings per week. The first set that's on top, we will read from Monday morning until Wednesday evening. And then from Thursday morning until Sunday evening, we'll be reading and discussing the second set of texts. Basically, I will, under the discussions tab, I will be posting a series of discussion questions. You will be expected to respond to 1 or 2 of those questions in an initial response of 200 to 300 words. Okay, you shouldn't be summarizing the text. It's more answering a specific question. You should be quoting from the text to help support and foster your thinking, to help showcase your thinking. You can ask questions. You can do some critical analysis and unpacking of these texts. So that will be your initial response. And then you will also provide a shorter secondary response, around 100 words, which will respond to one of the posts from a fellow classmate. So you may want to respond to, Cindy's post on Euripides the Bacchae by asking a question or offering an alternate reading of a specific moment in the text that she may have engaged in some capacity. You may want to make another connection to another text that we've read. So again, you're providing one longer, more substantial response, citing from whatever text that you're talking about. And then also you're going to be responding to at least one of your fellow classmates, okay, to engage them. And this will help to create a kind of discussion thread which is sort of the goal, since we aren't meeting and discussing text live, although again, I'm going to try to fit in a couple of those moments so that we can come together and practice those skills, practice critical reading, practice critical thinking, and supporting ourselves, right? Using the text to support ourselves. This is sort of useful ground to start flushing out some of the ideas that you have in response to some of these texts, and use them to help inform your more formal essays in your midterm paper and your final paper. Okay, so 9 a.m. on Monday mornings, you will have a series of questions posted under the discussions tab. You will have until Wednesday evening by 9 p.m. to post for the first half of the readings your initial response and your secondary response. You are, of course, encouraged to do more, but that's sort of like the basic of what is required of you. Thursday morning, 9 a.m., I will post more discussion questions for the second half of our readings, and that discussion forum will run until 9 p.m. on Sunday evening. 9 p.m. on Wednesday evening, 9 p.m. on Sunday evening, I will be locking the discussion board, so you'll be able to go back and read, but you won't be able to actually contribute and post. And in not being able to do so, you'll lose sort of attendance for that particular class. Okay. Let's see. The creative assignment, again, instructions for that are posted under the assignments tab, and I will talk you through that in a little bit more detail as we get closer. Same with your final presentation. Your papers, as I said, midterms will be 3 to 4 pages. Final essay will be 5 to 7 pages. And you will be, again, comparing and engaging at least 2 different texts, particularly from 2 different cultural historical persuasions, okay? This is a comparative literature course, and so we are always interested in texts as not being written in a kind of bubble, but as being a product of a specific historical moment or cultural influence. And language as well. So we are interested in the ways in which these factors contribute to shape, produce certain texts, and how those texts that may seem to have nothing to do with one another can actually have some interesting connections to one another. Okay, you also have a sort of outline of the different grades that are available and what constitutes the different grades. This is something that I'll go over a little bit more with you as we get closer to your formal essays. Attendance. Since, again, this is an asynchronous course, you are expected to participate regularly, as I said in our class discussions. You're allowed to miss 3 class discussions throughout the semester without penalization. This is a weird time. Things can be stressful. You may have other assignments, finals, midterms, etc. Whatever it is, you get to miss 3 of these discussion forums. That does not mean 3 weeks of discussions. That means, 3 individual discussions without penalization. After that point, you will lose a point off of your final grade, okay, for every discussion you actually miss. Again, this is to sort of keep you accountable for the work that we're doing. It is going to be easy to sort of, hide behind a screen. It is going to be easy to sort of fall behind. And I think that the worst thing that you can do is to put your head in the sand and just hope that everything will get better and you'll be able to catch up. The attendance policy holds you accountable for participating. You will get more out of the course that way, of course. And it also just, is a way in which I can encourage you to not fade off into the ether of cyberspace if you do feel as if you're sort of out of touch or falling behind. I would encourage you to reach out to me, give me a heads up on what's going on so that we can get you back on track and troubleshoot a way to keep you engaged in the course and obviously getting through it. Okay. So that's like my mom note of the day. Don't fade off into the distance. Reach out if you are having trouble so that I can help you and we can kind of get you back on track. Okay, policies. Generally, late work is not accepted. However, these are challenging times, and I want to be as flexible, of course, as I possibly can be. If you anticipate having trouble submitting an assignment, submitting a paper, please contact me so that, again, we can talk through and provide some kind of alternate due date that seems reasonable and fair for you. Again, you're allowed to miss 3 discussion posts without penalization. All of your essays should be written in Times New Margin, 12-point font, 1-inch margins, and you're going to be using MLA style guide. I've given you a couple of links to the Rutgers Library MLA citation guide. There's a really great, the Owl Purdue University website is wonderful. I've given you a link to that as well under resources, so you can utilize that, or you can, of course, ask me any specific questions in terms of citation, proper citation. The rest of the syllabus, as you will see, has quite a bit on academic integrity, student accommodations, basic needs security, inclusivity in the classroom. All of them have links. There's another page at the back that has a slew of resources available to you through Rutgers, including the writing department. I also teach expository writing, and I teach in the writing department, and that I know you're all like, but I cop to it. But that resource is also available to you and is so useful for those of you who have taken expos. You know that it can be quite demanding, and the writing department offers writing centers, and they're offering virtual tutoring sessions that are just as useful as meeting in person. And I encourage you to utilize that tool if it's something that you think would benefit you. One last thing about academic integrity, and then I will zip it. It's so easy these days to just unintentionally plagiarize and to not even realize that you're doing it. Most cases of obstructions of academic integrity are subconscious or not intentional in any way. If you have a question on when to use citation, what to cite, there's a really great link that I've provided that does go over all of that, that does provide the Rutgers University policy on academic integrity. Anything that is not or coming from your own head, essentially, whether that's word for word a sentence or whether that is, sort of summarizing an idea that you read elsewhere, all of that requires proper citation, okay? So don't make the mistake of not citing something because you're not quite sure how to do it, or if you need to do it. When in doubt, cite and also ask, okay? Okay, I think that is it for now. What you should be doing now is reviewing the syllabus in a little bit more detail. You should be ordering your textbooks, okay, as I've outlined. And we're also going to be kicking off with a little intro under the discussions tab. This will give you the sense of starting a discussion. You'll be introducing yourselves. You can upload a video of yourself if you want, just saying hi and your name, where you're from, your major, why you're taking this class, your favorite ice cream flavor. This is like deeply important to me. So you can do that. You can upload a video so we can see you and say hi, or you can just, respond in a paragraph or two. That will give us a little intro and a sense of how to utilize this discussion tab. And then the latter half of the week, starting from Thursday on, we'll be reading a couple of texts on how to define myth. What is myth? What is the function of myth? The purpose of myth? And we'll be starting our formal discussion forum, okay? If you have any questions in the interim, you can be in touch with me, shoot me an email, send me a message on Canvas, and otherwise we are going to kick off tomorrow, and I am looking forward to working with you all this semester. Okay, more soon. Bye.